All women are different, but they are all women. This video is androcentric from a men's point of view and is presented as opinion, commentary, and debate. Expressing opinions is not violence. These are ideas to challenge, question, and argue in public, because classical liberalism relies on the First Amendment for its dialectic. If you are a feminist, then consider this. If patriarchy truly existed as claimed, feminism could not. And if all men are trash and women are equal to men, then what are we to conclude? Women will die for their children. Men will die for their wives and children, and God chose to die for all mankind. Authority rolls up with responsibility. If this framing of facts offends you, click off to a cute cat video. Proceeding further will expose you to gamma bias and criticism directed at ideas, claims, institutions, not at any individual's virtue or dignity. Our method follows the 7 liberal arts, the Trivium, grammar, logic, rhetoric, and the Quadrivium, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy, and the transcendentals, the good, true, and beautiful. If this framework is not for you, feel free to exit now. It's no disgrace. Women are wonderful. God bless America. Men are great. Feminismus delendus est. Natural law, the only cure for the leftist mental illness, written by Conrad Riker, available now, links in description. Men's rights philosophy, a manual for seeing through the performance. I'm not asking for much. I just need you to know what I need without making me explain it. Every man alive has heard some version of this sentence, and every man alive has mishandled it. She packages an impossible demand inside a minimization, then forbids the one-tool speech that could resolve it. You hear a request. She is running a loyalty test where the correct answer is telepathy, and the penalty for asking for clarification is proof that you never cared. The male instinct is to panic, plead, or litigate. You guess wrong, she withdraws, you ask what she means, she says you should know. You argue that mind reading isn't fair, and now you're in a courtroom defending your love against evidence that doesn't exist yet. You lost the moment you accepted her premise that silence is a valid form of communication, and your failure to decode it is a valid form of neglect. None of that works because none of that is translation. The solution is not to outsource your judgment to her fog or beg her for a syllabus. The solution is to hold the line where speech begins. I am here. I am listening. But I will not pretend that words you refuse to say are words I should have heard. Truth before telepathy. Definition before response. That is where the test ends, and real communication either begins or exposes itself as something else entirely. The phrase, "I'm not asking for much, I just need you to know what I need without making me explain it." Speaker, context. Late evening in the master bedroom. The husband has just completed a long workday and is attempting to decompress in silence, while the wife is lying awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling a vague sense of emotional neglect that she cannot articulate but feels is his fault for not intuiting. Surface, meaning a statement of low demand, not asking for much, coupled with a request for telepathic competence, know what I need, and a prohibition on verbal processing without making me explain it. Hidden demand. The husband must perform a high-effort mental labor mind reading to identify a specific, likely unspoken, emotional or physical need, and fulfill it immediately while proving he was paying attention all along. If he asks, "What do you need?" he fails the test because he made her explain it, thereby proving he wasn't listening, feeling. Core contradiction. She demands he know her needs without explanation, yet the only way for him to know is for her to explain them. By forbidding the explanation, she creates an impossible standard of omniscience to punish his perceived lack of attunement. Phrase map, phrase decoder map, title hook. The Gord paradox, why she expects you to pay the bill without looking at the menu. Phrase, I'm not asking for much, I just need you to know what I need without making me explain it. Speaker, context. Late evening, master bedroom. He has finished a long workday and sits in silence, decompressing. She lies awake, staring at the ceiling, nursing a diffuse sense of emotional neglect she cannot name but has already attributed to his failure. Surface, meaning a low demand request, not much, paired with a telepathic mandate, know what I need. capped with a gag order on clarification without making me explain it. Hidden demand. He must read her mind, identify an unspoken need, and fulfill it immediately. If he asks what she needs, he fails the test, proving he was never paying attention. The demand is omniscience dressed as intimacy. Core contradiction. The only pathway to knowing her need is the explanation she has forbidden. By banning the bridge, she condemns him for not crossing. The standard is not high, it is impossible by construction. Girl logic pattern. If he loved me, he would know. If I must tell him, he doesn't. Silence becomes evidence, guessing becomes proof. The circularity seals the verdict before the conversation starts. Girl math pattern. Her cost to speak, 1 unit. His cost to fail the guess, 100 units of withdrawal and resentment. Therefore, she calculates that infinite male effort is cheaper than 1 sentence of female speech. Love, confirmed by guessing correctly, depreciates by 50% if he had to ask. Projection pattern. She cannot articulate her own need. Rather than sit with that confusion, she projects it outward. His silence becomes deliberate neglect. Her internal chaos becomes his moral failure. The unexamined feeling becomes the indictment. Projective confession. I just need you to know confession in plain sight. She does not know, she refuses to do the work of knowing. She has outsourced her emotional regulation to his clairvoyance. The child who will not say why she is crying demands the parent decode the tears and resents him for needing clues. Decoding axes. Literal words versus implied demand. Definition. The chasm between what the sentence says and what the behavior requires. Evidence. Not asking for much, yet the implied task is mind reading under pressure with no margin for error. Fallacy. Effort minimization. She frames the demand as small because her willingness to explain is the only metric. Male decode. Not much is measured by her reluctance to speak, not by the objective difficulty of the task. Disciplined response. I hear you. Tell me specifically what would help, and I'll do it. Inductive projection from one cue to global verdict. Definition. 1 instance of silence becomes evidence of a deep character flaw. Evidence. His resting becomes proof of disconnection. Fatigue is reclassified as indifference. Fallacy. Hasty generalization and mind reading bundled together. Male decode. Tired does not mean absent, separate state from character. Disciplined response. I am tired, not distant. I am here. What do you need? Girl math, emotional accounting. Definition. Asymmetric valuation of effort. Her speech is cheap, his failure is expensive. Evidence. The prohibition on explanation transfers all labor to him while preserving her emotional leverage. Fallacy. Double standard of effort disguised as romance. Male decode. Acknowledge the emotional economy, refuse to pay the vagueness premium. Disciplined response. I want to get this right. I need data to be accurate. Projection versus self-knowledge. Definition. Her lack of clarity gets attributed to his lack of perception. Evidence. She cannot name the need, so she assumes he should intuit what she herself cannot define. Fallacy. External locus of control. Her inner state is someone else's failure. Male decode. Confusion inside her is not negligence inside him unless he caused it. Disciplined response. It's okay not to know yet. Let's figure it out together. Group chat audience versus private truth. Definition. The phrase performs a social script validated by female peer networks. Evidence. If you loved me, you just know is a standard trope in female friendship circles, signaling belonging to the understood wife caste. Fallacy. Appeal to social consensus. If everyone says it, it must be a legitimate expectation. Male decode. She may be reciting a script absorbed from peers, not expressing a genuine need. Disciplined response. I'm not in the group chat. I'm here with you. Speak plainly. Reassurance. Hunger versus adult request. Definition. The statement is not asking for a thing or action. It is demanding proof of emotional priority. Evidence. Know what I need is a bid for validation disguised as a bid for service. Fallacy. Confusing affirmation with utility. Male decode. Provide the reassurance directly through engagement, not through theatrical mind reading. Disciplined response. You are my priority. Now tell me how to serve you. Male protocol. Do not panic. Silence is not an emergency. Do not apologize for not knowing. Ignorance of an unspoken need is not a moral failure. Do not guess. Guessing creates a 50% failure rate, and failure is punished. State your position. I am tired, but I am present. Request data. I want to get this right. Tell me what you need. If she says you should know, reply, I want to know. Teach me. Hold frame. Capable, not psychic. Reward directness immediately when it appears. If she refuses to explain and insists you guess, withdraw calmly. Do not negotiate with fog. Document the pattern. Repetition reveals whether this is genuine overwhelm or strategic ambiguity. Closing maxim. The hamster spins because the conscience knocked. Truth begins where the hamster wheel stops. Decode and debunk. The Gorda paradox. Why she expects you to pay the bill without looking at the menu. The phrase, I'm not asking for much. I just need you to know what I need without making me explain it. Late evening, master bedroom. He has finished a long workday and sits in silence, decompressing. She lies awake, staring at the ceiling, nursing a diffuse sense of emotional neglect she cannot name but has already attributed to his failure. The sentence is a trap wrapped in a virtue. It sounds like a modest request. It is a demand for omniscience under threat of resentment. What it sounds like? On the surface, a low-demand request. Not much, paired with a telepathic mandate. Know what I need, capped with a gag order on clarification, without making me explain it. It sounds like intimacy. It sounds like the kind of deep knowing that romance novels sell and women claim they want. He just gets me. It sounds like a plea for connection. But listen to the structure. 3 clauses, each one shrinking the possibility of success. First, she minimizes the ask so that any failure appears as unreasonable stinginess. Second, she demands a specific cognitive performance, not guessing, but knowing. Third, she forbids the only reliable method for obtaining that knowledge. This is not a request. This is a test with no correct answer. What it is doing. Literal meaning. A statement of low demand combined with a telepathic mandate and a prohibition on clarification. Emotional meaning. I feel disconnected, and I am afraid to say what I want because if I have to say it, it proves you don't care enough to notice on your own. Social meaning. I am performing the script of the understood woman that my female peers validate. If I have to explain, I lose status in the imaginary group chat. Hidden request. Perform a high-effort mental labor. Mind reading to identify a specific, likely unspoken, emotional or physical need, and fulfill it immediately, while proving you were paying attention all along. If you ask what do you need, you fail the test, because you made her explain it, thereby proving you weren't listening or feeling. Possible test. She is probing whether you are emotionally attuned, whether you prioritize her without being told, whether you will panic and grovel, or whether you will hold frame and demand clarity. The test is a shit test, disguised as a vulnerability bid. Hypocrisy. She demands that you know her needs without explanation, yet the only way for you to know is for her to explain them. By forbidding the explanation, she creates an impossible standard of omniscience designed to punish your perceived lack of attunement. She is holding you to a standard she herself cannot meet. She doesn't even know what she needs, but she expects you to. The decoding axes. Literal words versus implied demand. The chasm between what the sentence says and what the behavior requires is vast. Not asking for much, yet the implied task is mind reading under pressure with no margin for error. The fallacy is effort minimization. She frames the demand as small because her willingness to explain is the only metric she uses. Not much is measured by her reluctance to speak, not by the objective difficulty of the task. Male decode. Recognize that not much is a relative term based on her willingness to explain, not the actual cognitive load. A man who says, I'm not asking for much, just fix the carburetor without looking at the engine, would be laughed out of the garage. Inductive projection from one cue to global verdict. One instance of silence becomes evidence of a deep character flaw. His resting becomes proof of disconnection. Fatigue is reclassified as indifference. The fallacy is hasty generalization and mind reading bundled together. She takes a single data point, he is quiet, and inductively projects that he is deliberately withholding care. Male decode, tired does not mean absent. Separate state from character. A man can be exhausted and still love his wife. The silence is about his need for recovery, not her value. Girl math, emotional accounting. The asymmetrical valuation of effort. Her speech is cheap. Her failure is expensive. The prohibition on explanation transfers all labor to him while preserving her emotional leverage. The calculation runs. If I have to explain, it costs me 1 unit of effort. If he fails to guess, it costs me 100 units of emotional withdrawal and proof of his inadequacy. Therefore, it is more efficient for him to expend infinite energy guessing than for me to expend 1 sentence. Male decode, acknowledge the emotional economy but refuse to pay the vagueness premium. Her reluctance to speak does not make your task easier, it makes it impossible. The math is rigged. Projection versus self-knowledge. Her lack of clarity gets attributed to his lack of perception. She cannot name the need, so she assumes he should intuit what she herself cannot define. The fallacy is external locus of control. Her inner state becomes someone else's failure. Male decode, confusion inside her is not negligence inside him unless he caused it. If she doesn't know what she needs, that is her problem to solve, not his to guess. Group chat audience versus private truth. The phrase performs a social script validated by female peer networks. If you loved me, you'd just know is a standard trope in female friendship circles, signaling belonging to the understood wife caste. The fallacy is appeal to social consensus. If everyone says it, it must be a legitimate expectation. Male decode, she may be reciting a script absorbed from peers, not expressing a genuine need. The group chat is not in the room. The audience is imaginary. Reassurance, hunger versus adult request. The statement is not asking for a thing or action. It is demanding proof of emotional priority. Know what I need is a bid for validation, disguised as a bid for service. The fallacy is confusing affirmation with utility. Male decode, provide the reassurance directly through engagement, not through theatrical mind reading. The need is not for a specific service, it is for proof that you care. That proof can be given plainly. The fallacies, the core contradiction, the only pathway to knowing her need is the explanation she has forbidden. By banning the bridge, she condemns you for not crossing. The standard is not high, it is impossible by construction. Girl logic pattern, if he loved me, he would know. If I must tell him, he doesn't. Silence becomes evidence, guessing becomes proof. The circularity seals the verdict before the conversation starts. This is not logic, it is a trap that guarantees failure. Girl math pattern, her cost to speak, 1 unit. His cost to fail the guess, 100 units of withdrawal and resentment. Therefore, she calculates that infinite male effort is cheaper than 1 sentence of female speech. Love confirmed by guessing correctly depreciates by 50% if he had to ask. Projection pattern, she cannot articulate her own need. Rather than sit with that confusion, she projects it outward. His silence becomes deliberate neglect. Her internal chaos becomes his moral failure. The unexamined feeling becomes the indictment. Projective confession. I just need you to know. Confession in plain sight. She does not know. She refuses to do the work of knowing. She has outsourced her emotional regulation to your clairvoyance. The child who will not say why she is crying demands the parent decode the tears and resents him for needing clues. The male error modes. Panic and apology addiction. The first error is treating silence as emergency. He apologizes for not knowing, which validates the premise that he should have known. He grovels, which rewards the manipulation. The guessing game, he tries to guess. Is it about dinner? Do you want a back rub? Are you upset about what I said this morning? Guessing creates a 50% failure rate, and failure is punished. Even if he guesses correctly, the victory is Pyrrhic. He has trained her that mind reading works. Exasperated interrogation, he sighs and says, "What do you want from me?" in a tone of defeat. This confirms her narrative. He doesn't care, he's annoyed, he's not present. The tone becomes the evidence. Debate brain, he tries to logic his way out. "But you said you didn't want anything. How can I know if you don't tell me?" This is correct, but useless. She is not in a debate, she is in an emotional bid. Winning the argument loses the relationship. Rescue fantasy. He thinks that if he just tries harder, he will eventually become telepathic. He internalizes the impossible standard and burns himself out trying to meet it. This is the path to resentment and collapse. Anger as leadership. He explodes. "I can't read your mind, just say what you mean." This is understandable but destructive. It confirms her fear that he doesn't care, and it hands her the moral high ground. The disciplined response. Good faith distinction. First, assess whether this is genuine overwhelm or strategic ambiguity. A woman who is genuinely confused about her own needs, who is tired, who is struggling to articulate, that is a bid for help. A woman who uses this phrase repeatedly, who refuses to engage when you ask for clarity, who punishes you for not guessing, that is a tactic. Good faith response. "I hear that you want me to be more attuned. I'm here. I want to get this right. Tell me specifically what would make you feel cared for right now, so I can learn your language." This invites clarity without groveling. It holds frame. You are capable, not psychic. It rewards directness. Bad faith response. If she refuses to explain and insists you guess, withdraw calmly. "I want to help, but I need data to be accurate. I'll be in the living room when you're ready to talk." Do not negotiate with fog. Do not chase. The silence is hers to break. The protocol. Do not panic. Silence is not an emergency. Do not apologize for not knowing. Ignorance of an unspoken need is not a moral failure. Do not guess. Guessing creates a 50% failure rate, and failure is punished. State your position. "I am tired, but I am present." Request data. "I want to get this right. Tell me what you need." If she says you should know, reply, "I want to know. Teach me." Hold frame. Capable, not psychic. Reward directness immediately when it appears. If she refuses to explain and insists you guess, withdraw calmly. Do not negotiate with fog. Document the pattern. Repetition reveals whether this is genuine overwhelm or strategic ambiguity. The maxim, "The hamster spins because the conscience knocked." Truth begins where the hamster wheel stops. You cannot read a mind that refuses to speak. You cannot meet a standard that is designed to fail. You cannot love a woman who demands omniscience as proof of devotion. The disciplined man does not chase fog. He stands in the light and invites her to join him. If she will not, he does not set himself on fire to keep her warm. Male response protocol. Slow down. Let me pause and think about what you just said. Identify the claim. You are asking me to know your need without you telling me what it is. Separate fact from feeling. I hear that you feel neglected. The factual problem is that I do not know what you need. Ask for direct request. What specific action do you want me to take right now? Tell me directly. Refuse mind-reading guilt. I'm not a mind reader. Expecting me to guess is not a test of love. It is an impossible demand. Reward directness. If she explains, "Thank you for telling me clearly. Now I can help." Set boundary. If you choose not to explain, I cannot act. That is a boundary I must keep. Document serious claims. If this pattern continues, let us write down your needs so we can refer to them. Exit circular contempt. I will not play a game where I am set up to fail. Let me know when you're ready to speak plainly. Access checklist. Literal words versus implied demand. Recognize that not much is a relative term based on her willingness to explain, not the objective difficulty of the task. Response. I hear that you want me to be more attuned. Tell me specifically what would make you feel cared for right now, so I can learn your language. Inductive projection from Monikutogo Bal verdict. Separate his current state, tired, from his general character, loving, attentive. Response, I am tired, not disconnected, I am listening. What is the specific need? Emotional accounting. Acknowledge the emotional currency, but refuse to pay the premium for vagueness. Response, I want to know, but I need data to be accurate. Help me help you. Projection versus self-knowledge. She is confused. He is not responsible for her confusion unless he caused it. Response: it's okay not to know. Let's figure it out together. Group shot audience versus private truth. She is performing a script, not just expressing a need. Response: I'm not in the group chat, I'm here with you. Speak plainly. Reassurance hunger versus adult request. Provide the validation through direct engagement, not mind-reading response. You are my priority. Tell me how to serve you. I have spent years decoding this language in my own life, in the lives of thousands of men who have written to me, and in the structural architecture of our institutions. The Gorda paradox is not an anomaly. It is the grammar of a civilization that has taught women their feelings are verdicts, and taught men their perceptions are suspect. When she says, you should just know, she is not speaking to you. She is speaking to a father she never had, or a father who failed to hold the line, or a culture that told her that love means never having to articulate a single concrete noun. You cannot fill a cup that refuses to name its thirst. And here is what I have learned, what I practice daily, what I teach my sons, and would teach every man alive. When she speaks in fog, you do not grab at the vapor, and you do not curse the weather. You stand still. You ask one question calmly, without fear. I want to hear you. What exactly do you need? If she answers, you have built a bridge between two minds, and that is marriage at its most beautiful. If she refuses, if she punishes the question, if she treats your inability to read her silence as evidence of your failure, then you are not dealing with a bid for connection. You are dealing with a test designed to be failed, a parasite that feeds on apology, a refusal so disguised as need that even she believes the costume. And in that moment, the most loving thing you can do, for her and for truth, is to not play. Go to sleep. Read your book. Do not chase the fog. The woman who respects you will find her words by morning. The woman who does not was never looking for your answer, only your surrender. Remember this rule, translate the request, honor the emotion, serve the need she names, and never pretend a demand wasn't made. That sentence is your compass. It keeps you warm without making you weak, strong without making you cold. It separates the woman who loves you from the pattern that consumes you. Speak it internally every time the fog grows in, and you will not lose yourself in anyone's weather. Sponsored book, Natural Law, the only cure for the leftist mental illness. You hold in your hands a declaration of war. Not a war of violence, for that is the refuge of the brute, but a war of ideas fought with the precision weapons of logic, natural law, and the accumulated wisdom of 3,000 years of Western thought. I wrote this book because I spent decades watching the slow suicide of our civilization, watching rational men, good men, destroyed by a cultural machine designed to grind their spirits into dust. I watched as the institutions I trusted, the women I loved, and the society I served betrayed every principle that made the West the pinnacle of human achievement. The suffering I witnessed was not random chaos. It was the predictable result of abandoning objective truth for the narcissistic worship of feelings. This book exists because I refuse to watch another generation of men walk blindly into the slaughterhouse of gynocentrism and cultural Marxism without handing them a map of the killing floor and a sword forged from the immortal steel of reason. The necessity of this work cannot be overstated. We stand at a precipice. Behind us lies the entire edifice of Western civilization. The Trivium, the transcendentals, natural law, the mixed constitution, the apprenticeship mastery ladder, and the due process that protected the individual from the mob. Before us yawns the abyss of relativistic chaos, where feelings trump facts, where the damaged and the depraved dictate policy to the competent, and where the biological realities of sex and evolution are dismissed as social constructs by people who couldn't construct a coherent argument if their lives depended on it. I have personally navigated this hellscape. I have lost friends to the cult of wokeness, seen careers destroyed by the whisper campaigns of the perpetually offended, and watched helplessly as good men were dragged through the mud of family courts designed to extract their wealth and destroy their will. I wrote this book because the lies have become so pervasive, so systemic, that merely pointing them out is no longer sufficient. We must systematically dismantle them and rebuild the mental fortifications that protect the rational mind. The value of reading this book is simple. It will immunize you against manipulation. You will learn to identify the psychological patterns of the damaged, the evolutionary biology behind the deceit, and the dialectical strategies used by bad actors to weaponize your own decency against you. I will walk you through the architecture of delusion, showing you exactly how the ego constructs its fortress of lies to protect itself from the purifying light of objective reality. I will demonstrate using syllogisms as sharp as any surgeon's scalpel. Why leftist ideology is not merely wrong but necessarily self-refuting, a philosophy built on the quicksand of contradiction. You will discover the forgotten weapons of the Western canon and learn to wield them with the precision of a master logician. By the time you finish this work, the manipulation and guilt-tripping that once controlled you will bounce off your mind like arrows off stone. You will see the enemy clearly, understand their tactics completely, and possess the intellectual ammunition to defeat them utterly. This book is for the red-pilled man who has already glimpsed the truth but lacks the systematic framework to fully understand it. It is for the rational man who loves the rarely quoted traditions of Western civilization, the transcendentals, the virtues, the due process, the subsidiarity, the civil society associations that once made life meaningful. It is for the man who has been run over by genocentrism, betrayed by the conspiracy of lies surrounding women's true nature, and who requires the red pill of Schopenhauer to finally break the spell. It is for the man sick unto death of toxic femininity, of being told his natural instincts are pathological, of watching his civilization burn while the arsonists lecture him about equity. If you are such a man, this book will change your life. It will give you the tools to reclaim your sovereignty, redirect your vital energy toward your own greatness, and stand firm against the tide of cultural decay. If you're not such a man, if you're a feminist, a cultural Marxist, a believer in the religion of equality, or simply someone who prefers the comfortable lies of the modern Babylon, put this book down. I am not writing for you. I have no interest in converting the brainwashed or debating the irrational. Your ego defenses will simply filter out anything I say, twisting it into confirmation of your pre-existing delusions. Save yourself the frustration. Go watch your propaganda, attend your sensitivity training, post your hashtags about equity and inclusion. There are a million other books that will tell you exactly what you want to hear, that will stroke your ego and confirm your victim status. This is not one of them. This book is a weapon, and weapons are dangerous things to those who do not know how to hold them. But for the man ready to see, to truly see, the biological deception, the evolutionary psychology of the bad actor, the repeating pattern of civilizational suicide that accompanies the feminization of society, I offer you this fortress against chaos. I offer you the cure for the leftist mental illness, not because I hate those who suffer from it, but because I love the truth enough to name the disease. The living spirit of the West is not dead. It waits only for men of sufficient courage to pick up the weapons their ancestors forged and drive the agents of chaos back into the shadows from which they came. Read on and become the vanguard of that restoration. Natural Law, the only cure for the leftist mental illness, written by Conrad Riker. Buy now, links in description.